Hey, what's up tankers? Buckskin Snuggy here with another quick tank review. Today I'll be looking at the JagdTiger 8.8. So first of all, this tank destroyer is a pretty heavily armored beast. If you look closely, it's got quite the big thick plate right on the front of the superstructure. The armor value works out to about 250 mils thick. On the sides and the ass end of this tank, it's only 80 mils thick. The front lower plate is actually only 120, and with the fact that it's angled partially, it works out to about the effective armor value is about 170. So that's a pretty big weak spot for this tank destroyer. You really want to keep that covered up as much as possible. Getting hauled down with this tank is a huge advantage because you are going to be really hard to fight. Another weak spot in the front is actually the gunner port. So people are going to be trying to punch through that as much as possible if they are smart. You don't really want people to be tracking you and flanking you because the side is such a huge target, and the ass end of this tank, just like the sides, are pretty soft. So if we take a quick look at the gun here, the gun's pretty reliable. It has a low alpha damage, but it really makes up for it with the rate of fire. Let's see, 240 for an alpha damage. That seems to be a bit low, you know, but like I said, the rate of fire really makes up for it. 11.11 shells per minute is fantastic. Okay, the penetration value is 203 for your standard shells. Your APCR premiums don't really take much of a leap at 237, but this tank does get preferential matchmaking, so you will only see tier 9s at the worst case scenario. So 203 is more than enough to basically smack through the lower plate of almost anything. If you run into an E75 or an ST1 though, I kinda would recommend shooting off premium shells, you know, in case you get stuck in a jam. The aim time is fantastic, where it's a flat 2 seconds, and the accuracy is phenomenal at 0.31. So the gun is really reliable, and you could really rack up some big numbers really fast. For most tank destroyers, it basically has the highest DPM other than the AT-15A. Or not the AT-15A, sorry, the standard AT-15 actually has a higher DPM. If we take a quick look at the engine horsepower is 700. For the sheer weight of this thing, though, it's pretty sluggish. You know, that's a lot of weight you're basically lugging around. The traverse speed is very poor with this thing. 22 degrees per second is really bad. You basically turn like a yacht. The view range, though, is pretty nice at 390 meters. That's very good for a tank destroyer. Let's take a quick look at the top speed here. Yeah, the top speed is 28 kilometers per hour, so it's really bad. The reverse speed for this tank destroyer is also really bad, so you want to kind of plan your movements accordingly. With the armor of this tank, you can get pretty aggressive and try to be at the front of the lines, but if you do that, try to keep a couple of allied tanks with you so you don't get tracked and flanked and basically eaten alive out there. Me personally, I try to kind of hide in the back and throw out a lot of punches with this tank. I don't really play too aggressively. I do when the chances arises and you know you can get out there and kick some ass and you won't get flanked, but like I said, preferentially for myself, I try to chill in the back a little bit. For equipment for this tank, I personally like bringing the camo net and a binocular telescope because, like I said, I kind of chill in the back a little bit. I don't really get too aggressive with this, other than knowing that maybe I could get a spot where I can get hauled down, and then I will get more aggressive. I personally like to bring the large caliber tank gun rammer just to accentuate that high rate of fire. I'm pretty sure vents would probably be a better bet for this tank though, because that way it would just increase everything all over. And the camo value, yes, vents are very good for a camo value for this tank. For supplies, because you bring a crap load of shells, you could bring up to 68 shells with this tank, and the standard shells are nice and cheap at 252. I tend to bring a little bit more with the standard AP rounds because they are fully competent in tier 8 matches. Tier 9s, I try to bring 24 APCR rounds because, you know, you are going to get stuck fighting some tier 9s eventually. For high explosives, I really only bring 4 of them because, like I said, I kind of use them for kill shots or like fighting Borsigs or scouts or artillery. But yeah, for consumables, I like the large first aid kit, large repair kit, automatic fire extinguisher. As you guys know already, I really do care for those passive boosts. And honestly, it's been rumored that this tank destroyer is the best moneymaker in the game. You know, I imagine it has to do with the fact that the standard AP shells are very cheap. So spending 20,000 on a large repair kit or a large first aid kit doesn't really seem much to me. Let's see, for crew skills, I would definitely go with Brothers in Arms. Sixth Sense is always a must for most tanks. Clutch braking is really vital to this tank because, like I said, 22 degrees per second for your turning rate is very, very poor. Because it is a tank destroyer, I like bringing camouflage. I don't have repairs on here right now, only because I'm a complete and total butthead. I should have repairs on here because, like I said, you are going to get tracked a lot in this tank. People are going to try to immobilize you and get around you. I'm working on situational awareness right now, and next will probably be recon, just because it really accentuates that 390 view range. Because it is a German vehicle, I would highly recommend preventative maintenance. You do have that frontal transmission, so a lot of shells you're going to be taking from the front lower plate are going to pen right through you, and they are most likely going to set you on fire. So firefighting would also be another bonus for this tank. Mentor would be very vital to this because you are going to be training crews with this, and you are going to be earning a lot of silver. Mentor, of course, only does go for the crew, but it would really help you out. I don't really have too much problems with getting ammo racked in this tank, so safe stowage, you know, you could probably put that off. But because you are going to be slanging a lot of shells out there and hitting people a lot with quite a few good rate of fire, Deadeye I would think would be very beneficial. You know, immobilizing tanks, damaging modules, that would always be good. Snapshot and Smooth Ride, you don't really need those whatsoever. You're not going to be firing on the move, and the accuracy and aim time are phenomenal for this tank already. Off-road driving would be a good benefit for this tank, just for the fact that it's very sluggish, so anything in regards to mobility and boosting it would be very vital to this tank. Other than that, I can't really think of anything else. Maybe armorer, because there are going to be the rogue shots that are going to take out your gun. But yeah, all in all, you know, it's a phenomenal tank destroyer. It has a good health pool too. I believe it is about 1300. We'll just take a quick look here. Let's see, JagdTiger 8.8. Yeah, so it's 1300 health points. That's pretty good. As you can see too, you have a good signal range, so anything you do detect, you know, you will be able to relay the information to ally tanks around you with ease. If we take a quick look at the health pool for other tier 8 tank destroyers, the Furdy has 1200, the Borsig, pardon me, has 1100. But yeah, with the rate of fire with this tank, even though it has a low alpha damage, it basically has the second highest DPM for tank destroyers. So this thing can really rack up some big numbers fast. Let's see if we can get into a good battle here and see if we can kick some ass. So one other thing I forgot to mention for this tank destroyer is the gun depression. You get 7 degrees of gun depression, so that's pretty good for low ridges and low hills. The gun elevation is only 15 degrees, so anybody who has high ground above you is going to have a slight advantage because it is going to be hard for you to shoot up at them. Alright, so got a standard battle on Lakeville, tier 9s.
Let's go.
So I was really hoping the scout tank would have shot out there and kind of set up some good targets for us. Gotta admit, I was a little surprised to see that T-44 push out as far as he did. So trying to get into a good position here where I could clock him once he came around that corner. Bounced one off his turret. That was a poor shot.
Enemy detected.
One nice shot right through the mantle and the barrel of his gun. So as you can see, the effective armor is really coming in handy here. Had a couple of shells bounce off me, no problem. A quick peek over in the town to see what I'm dealing with.
Ready to fire. Let's find another target.
Sink one good punch into the Tiger. And there's another.
We've hit them hard. Target locked. Target unlocked.
So with the rammer and brothers in arms, I managed to get the reload time down to about 4.5 seconds.
They're hit.
Which is more than enough to cut a lot of people apart with this tank destroyer.
We didn't even scratch them. Bounced off.
Trying to hit this lower plate of the Tiger P was kind of foolish on my behalf. I should have been honestly shooting his turret the entire time.
We got him. Ready to fire.
Quickly realized the JagdTiger 8.8 was up, and as you could see, the sides of his tank, he wasn't really angled too much, but it was more than enough for my gun to tear right through him. Try to make short work of the Chi-Ri.
Nice shot.
Just a quick shot on the ass end of his tank here. He had it sticking out just enough to be a good target, and sure enough he takes off. Managed to track him. Now, right here I was trying my best to keep him perma-trapped.
Enemy is hit. Punch right through their armor.
Got a lucky blind shot on the front end of him. Figured I'd try to crank out one more and miss.
Ready to fire on target. Target released. Target locked. Target unlocked. That's gotta hurt.
Nice kill shot on the Tiger P.
Target. Target acquired. Let's find another target.
Now, luckily I'm not detected here whatsoever, so I'm just still cranking out as many shots as I possibly can with this. There was no need for me to press up anymore whatsoever.
Vehicle destroyed.
Make short work of the STA-1.
Target released.
Got a nice lucky little snapshot on the 5100. And T-71 putting in some great work over there. Kinda got jammed up from the dead tank here. I believe that was the T-44.
Ready to fire.
Lucky snapshot onto the JagdTiger 8.8.
Target unlocked. We got him. Punched right through their armor.
And the autoloader beats me to it. So knowing that our team has a huge advantage here, I wanted to press up just a little bit. Figured I'd try to get right in the faces of these tank destroyers. As you can see, clutch braking really helps out with the turn rate of this tank destroyer.
Target acquired. Let's find another target. We didn't penetrate their armor. Drag hit.
And AT-15 gets a lucky shot on the ass end of my side.
We got him.
Punches through my lower plate.
Punched right through their armor.
Alright, stir ammo. I eat a nasty shot from the E75. I sit here and basically try to clutch out a couple of shots on him. If I was smart, though, I would have tried my best to get hull down on that dead tank. But as you can see, a big part of my lower plate was still sticking out past that tank, and he just cranks me a good one. Completely finishes me off. I should have played it a lot smarter there. As soon as the 6th sense popped up, I should have stopped and landed into reverse as fast as I could. But yeah, I did have to take a quick peek there to see how much of my lower plate was still sticking out, and it was pretty bad. But yeah, 23 penetrations, even in a tier 9 match, you know, that's pretty good. It still cranked out quite a bit of damage in this match. The rate of fire is phenomenal for this tank. 4.5 seconds, like you can't beat that. That's pretty damn good. As you can see, the E75 sure puts up a good fight here. A lot of the teammates here are struggling to fight him, and the next thing you know, a T30 from the ass end just plows them one. Game over. Great match, though.
Great job, men.
See if we can check out the numbers here. Alright, so even with a standard account would have clocked out 83,000 silver, with premium 138,000, 5,411 damage. That's absolutely phenomenal for a tank destroyer that only has 240 alpha damage, but like I said, the rate of fire really compensates for that. 1,619 base experience, got a Confederate medal and a high caliber, 2nd class mastery badge. But yeah, in a nutshell, that's pretty much the JagdTiger 8.8, guys. I hope you guys enjoyed the video. I hope you learned a little bit from it. Please subscribe if you haven't already, and hit that like button to show some support. See you guys on the battlefield.